Did you know that almost 99% of deaths after the age of 75 come down to just a few main causes? Most people assume that passing away in old age is simply part of nature's process, but in reality, so many of these tragedies are linked to risks that could have been reduced or even avoided entirely. The problem is, by the time most people realize what's happening, their health has already declined and their options have narrowed. But there is good news. When you understand these dangers early, you can take steps now that can add years, even decades, to your life, while keeping you stronger, more independent, and more active. Today, we're breaking down the 5 leading causes of death after 75, how they happen, why they're dangerous, and most importantly, what you can do to reduce your risk. These aren't just numbers on a chart. They're about real lives, real families, and real choices. Let's get started. 2. Falls and injuries. Falls are one of the most underestimated dangers for older adults, but they are also one of the most life-changing. After 75, a single fall can set off a chain reaction: fractured bones, long recovery periods, loss of independence, and in many cases, complications that lead to death. The risk creeps up slowly. Over time, muscle strength, balance, and reaction time decline, often without you even noticing. You may feel fine moving around your home, but all it takes is one misstep, one slippery surface, or one moment of dizziness. And here is the vicious cycle. People who experience a fall or even a close call often start avoiding movement out of fear, which weakens the muscles further, making another fall even more likely. But the truth is, falls are not inevitable. There is a lot you can do to prevent them. Strength training, balance exercises like Tai Chi, and even simple leg raises can help keep your muscles and reflexes sharp. At home, small changes make a huge difference. Brighter lighting, removing loose rugs, adding non-slip mats in the bathroom, and installing sturdy handrails on stairs. And do not overlook medication side effects. Some prescriptions cause dizziness or drops in blood pressure when you stand up quickly, so always review these with your doctor. Think of fall prevention as an investment not just in your safety, but in your independence and quality of life. Mary, 82, was sharp, independent, and still lived in her own home. One rainy afternoon, she slipped on her kitchen floor. She broke her hip, spent months in rehab, and never fully regained her mobility. Within a year, her health declined dramatically, not from the fall itself, but from the loss of movement, muscle strength, and independence that followed. Here's the thing: our balance, muscle strength, and reaction time all decline slowly over time, so we don't notice. You might feel steady today, but one dizzy spell, one poorly lit hallway, one slippery surface, and everything changes. 3. Respiratory diseases. After 75, respiratory diseases like COPD, chronic bronchitis, emphysema, and pneumonia become far more dangerous, not because they're inevitable, but because the lungs naturally lose some capacity with age and the immune system isn't as strong as it used to be. This means that what starts as a mild cough or shortness of breath can quickly turn into a serious, even life-threatening illness. COPD slowly narrows your airways and makes breathing more difficult, while pneumonia, often underestimated, can overwhelm the body in days. Poor air quality over the years, whether from pollution, dust, mold, or secondhand smoke, takes a silent toll on lung health. And if you've been sedentary, your lungs are not expanding fully or clearing mucus as efficiently, which increases your risk of infection. The best defense? Keep your lungs active and protected. Regular exercise, even light walking or stretching, strengthens the lungs and keeps airways clear. Indoors, use air purifiers if needed and reduce exposure to dust and allergens. Stay up to date on vaccinations for flu and pneumonia. These can mean the difference between a short illness and a hospital stay. The key is to notice changes early. If breathing feels harder than usual, don't brush it off. Healthy lungs keep you moving, active, and independent. Frank, 79, used to be a smoker decades ago. He had a bit of a cough, but did not think much of it. One winter, he caught what he thought was just a cold. Within days, he was hospitalized with pneumonia. He recovered, but his lung function never fully returned, and even light activity left him breathless. The problem is that lungs naturally lose elasticity with age, and the immune system is not as strong. That means infections hit harder and recovery is slower. Poor indoor air quality, dust, mold, pet dander makes things worse, and inactivity weakens the lungs just like it weakens muscles. 4. Stroke. A stroke can happen in an instant, and it is often life-altering or fatal. It occurs when blood flow to the brain is blocked or a blood vessel bursts, and brain cells start dying within minutes. The damage is often permanent, which is why prevention is critical. High blood pressure is the single biggest risk factor. Over time, it damages and weakens arteries, making them prone to rupture or blockage. Irregular heart rhythms like atrial fibrillation also play a major role. They can allow blood to pool and form clots that travel to the brain. Poor diet, inactivity, and dehydration make matters worse by thickening the blood and slowing circulation. The good news? Experts estimate that up to 80% of strokes are preventable through lifestyle changes and medical management. That means controlling blood pressure, eating a nutrient-rich diet, staying active, and drinking enough water. And here's a critical tip. Never ignore mini-strokes, also called TIAs, transient ischemic attacks. If you ever have sudden numbness, confusion, trouble speaking, or vision changes even if it lasts just minutes, get medical help immediately. Recognizing the signs and acting fast can save not just your life, but your independence. Helen, 77, was making tea one morning when her right arm suddenly felt heavy and her speech became slurred. Her husband recognized the signs and called 911 immediately. She was treated within the golden window of time and made an almost full recovery. She later said, "If my husband hadn't known the signs, I might not be here." High blood pressure is the biggest risk factor. It silently weakens arteries until they are vulnerable to rupture or blockage. Irregular heart rhythms like atrial fibrillation also raise the risk because they can cause blood clots that travel to the brain. 5. Cognitive decline. Cognitive decline, including dementia and Alzheimer's, is one of the most feared aspects of aging, not just because it affects memory and reasoning, but because it can rob people of their independence and even put them in physical danger. The early signs, forgetting names, misplacing important items, or struggling to follow conversations, are often brushed off as normal aging. But over time, these small lapses can grow into difficulties managing daily life. People may forget to take medications, leave the stove on, or wander into unsafe areas. The best defense is a combination of mental, physical, and social activity. Just like your muscles, your brain needs regular exercise, reading, learning new skills, doing puzzles, and engaging in deep conversations all help keep it sharp. Physical activity is equally important as it improves blood flow to the brain and supports memory. Staying socially connected, whether it's with friends, family, or community groups, reduces the risk of decline, while a brain-healthy diet rich in omega-3s, antioxidants, and vitamins helps protect against inflammation and damage. Cognitive decline isn't always preventable, but starting these habits early can slow it down and help you stay independent much longer. Dorothy, 81, had always been sharp, but her daughter noticed small changes, forgetting appointments, mixing up medications. One night, Dorothy left the stove on after making tea. It was a wake-up call for the whole family. The early signs, misplacing items, struggling to follow conversations, forgetting names are easy to dismiss, but they can be the brain's way of saying it needs help. And while dementia and Alzheimer's can't always be prevented, their progression can be slowed. Final thoughts. These 5 causes, heart disease, falls, respiratory disease, stroke, and cognitive decline, account for the vast majority of deaths after 75, but none of them are guaranteed. The earlier you start taking preventive action, the more control you have over your future. You do not have to overhaul your life overnight. Even small steps, a 10-minute walk, adding more vegetables to your plate, Staying connected with friends, getting your blood pressure checked, can set you on a healthier path. The goal isn't just to live longer, it is to live stronger, sharper, and more independent for as many years as possible. Your health is your greatest asset. Protect it today and you'll thank yourself tomorrow.